Am I getting bamboozled by a woman on the internet again? I mean, generally, I don't listen to women on the internet at all, whether they're, in a short or, some clip or, I don't watch female YouTubers. I just generally don't. However, I feel like I've been hornswoggled by Candace Owens. I've always had a respect for Candace because she's got a quick intellect. It's kind of rare to see a woman so quick and articulate. And maybe I have a bias because she kind of speaks my language, but I would never watch Candace Owens' YouTube channel, especially when it was on the Daily Wire or whatever, whenever that was. I never watched it. But my guilty pleasure began with the Brigitte Macron, Is She a Man series. I watched it like my mom and sister used to watch The Young and the Restless back in the 80s or the 90s. I was subject to it, so I ended up knowing what was going on with Victor Jabot and Jabot Industries and Jack, whatever the hell their name was in Days of Our Lives. So it ended up being my YouTube guilty pleasure. And then it just started to escalate. And of course, once Charlie Kirk got assassinated, I started remembering, oh, wait a second. I used to watch tons of clips with Charlie and Candace. So there's a history between the two of them that bridged my interest back to her. Like, what is her take? As far as I'm concerned, when you're coming up in a business, like I have friends that I've had businesses with, we'll always be tight because we fought it out in the real world. We fought real adversities, lost money, made money. So we're bounded. Like I always say, marriage is nothing. You just buy a house. Now you're really bonded by something stronger than marriage, which is debt. But so when I bridge that back to Candace and Charlie Kirk being, coming up with Turning Point, it's like, yeah, I wonder what the hell's going to go on here. So I started watching Candace more. And let me preface this with one thing. I am a conspiracy theorist. I have zero trust in the government. And I guess at the root of everything, I'm a little bit of an anarchist, and maybe a lot anarchist. But this is all rooted with my deep, deep distrust for government, all things government. And so if we go way back to 9/11, it took me 6 years to digest it. So since from 2001 to like 2006, 2007, I didn't really think anything of it. What was the government narrative? 12 loonies from a cave took over planes and crashed them in. Okay, if that's all right, I get it. But when I finally saw that one video on YouTube, which was, why did Building 7 fall? That was like wait a second. Why did Building 7 fall? So what I'm saying here is that when I see these things happen on the political stage, in the political kabuki theater, I immediately am suspect, because I wait for the narrative to come out, what the government says or what the media says. And from there, I generally know how big of a lie it is. And so with this lone gunman, whatever his name is, the tranny furry guy, I was like, oh, immediately, this doesn't make sense. And then I started asking some questions to myself, like, so once I'm pushed that way from the narrative, if the government consensus is this is what happened, or this is what Kash Patel says, who is just, to me, the same thing as a politician. He's just a hired puppet to kind of regurgitate the puke to the plebs. And that's what he does. He doesn't even do it really well. So when I hear that, then I start seeing these strings and I start pulling the strings. So some of the immediate strings I pulled were like, you know what's weird? I haven't seen the kill zone where he was publicly executed taped off. And now, as a kid of the 80s, you know, every movie I saw or TV show or news clip would have the yellow tape. Well, how come that wasn't taped off? And so here, maybe it was, and I didn't see it. I just haven't seen a picture of it or a video of it. But I have seen people wandering around immediately after, like it was, you know, a band had just quit the set early and walked off stage, and people were like, what's going on here? I don't know. Well, let's go grab some merch. Looks like the merch table's still clean. Let's go grab some. How come there wasn't immediate, like, I don't think a SWAT team was necessary, but how about some reinforcements to that massive crowd? How about some? It seemed like there was just a bunch of volunteers, you know, this way, oh no, slow it down, this way, they're gonna go this way. Those are weird strings. A couple of weird strings that she brought up, Candace Owens, that, you know, started me scratching my own head, was the maroon shirts. And the reason why that was so bizarre to me is because as a man, and probably most people watching this video are probably male. My YouTube channel is like 95% men. We know, we almost like bulls. Yeah, I know bulls don't see red, but you know the metaphor, they, you know, the red flag. Men and maroon shirts, it just doesn't happen. We don't choose maroon ever. And you're probably thinking to yourself now, yes, I do. Let me think. I have a I'm not as think as you drunk I am t-shirt that's maroon. Do you? Okay, maybe the one in your whole life. You might have that one, was probably bought from your parents when they left the gift shop in the Mexico airport. Oh shit, we forgot to buy a present for the kids. Let's get this I'm not as think as you drunk I am maroon shirt. Anyway, we know as men, we're never gonna wear a maroon shirt. So when I see all of these dudes in maroon shirts, so here's one thing. Worst case scenario, they're like a infantry, a brigade, or a coordinated group of, I don't know, Navy, Army, Navy SEALs, Black Ops, something, just so they understand where everyone is. Because they also know, they probably, if we go down this road, they're probably thinking this, we need to wear something so we can instantly recognize who everybody is. And they're like, I know, maroon shirts. We'll be the only men in America with maroon shirts. Perfect. You know, not really thinking what a maroon red flag that actually would be. So we know that men don't choose this. That's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that, you know, they're just all a member of like the chess club or the Dungeons and Dragons club, and they wear maroon shirts because they're all a big bunch of nerds, you know. But that's the best case scenario. And so I also think anytime there's this massive tragedy, okay, who benefits the most? And now if you've paid attention to Turning Point USA's continuation, you can see that it is just a shell of the show it used to be, for one reason. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze here because the sun's coming here. No. For one reason, Charlie Kirk was an incredibly remarkable individual. You don't get many Charlie Kirks. You might get one or two a generation, but because he was so remarkable, he's irreplaceable. So they're trying to continue on. So let's go best case scenario is that they're just trying to continue on. Well, we want to fulfill Charlie's legacy. Okay. Now, this is where I always come back to unremarkable retards. Well, here he goes talking about losers again. This is so significant because we're seeing this play out now with Turning Point USA. So you have Charlie Kirk, a completely, incredibly remarkable individual, irreplaceable, but he has this structure underneath him of, bench warmers. They're all just bench warmers. And I would hazard to guess that each one of them would probably have one standout skill or talent that made them useful in Charlie's organization. Whether it's accounting or social media or dealing with donors, they all had their one little key element that put them on the bench behind Charlie. But I would also gamble that Charlie Kirk was better at all of them at their one skill. Like social media is probably better at it. Accounting, he's probably better and knows the deep history of accounting and many forms of it. He was just an incredible individual. And so now you have these unremarkable retards in his seat, and it's tanking so bad. And the reason why it's tanking and it's going on for so long is that unremarkable retards have no self-awareness. They have no self-awareness. And because they were brought up under Charlie's incredible prowess, they actually think that maybe their shit doesn't stink because everything they did was gold because of the tip of the spear, which was Charlie Kirk. But now without that guiding light, they're just a bunch of bench warming, unremarkable retards trying to run this company with the same, perhaps, intellectual narrative that Charlie Kirk had, all the fundamentals, everything that he believed in. Maybe they're trying to keep it, but that's not their baby. That was Charlie Kirk's baby, and now they're trying to make like it. They still call it the Charlie Kirk show, which is funny too. You would think this is what someone with self-awareness would do. His partner, whatever is Andrew or something, if he had the self-awareness, he would take a break, let things simmer out, grieve, come up with a new plan, maybe sunset Charlie Kirk show, maybe for good, for the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Because how brutal is the legacy of Charlie Kirk if there's this tale of a bunch of unremarkable retards just demolishing it and destroying it into the ground and making it a literal laughing stock. And you just have to look at them too, because there's a common thread with unremarkable retards. That's why they're politicians as well, is that they're ugly. And so when you're ugly, you have to circumvent the system, because the system isn't laid out for you the same way it would be if you were an attractive man. Now, some people say Charlie Kirk wasn't that attractive. He had a small face or something like that. I don't know. I didn't see it. I did see that he was head and shoulders more attractive than most of the people that were warming his bench. And the reason why pretty girls have it easy and pretty boys have it easy is that you're rewarded for less. But what happens is that you enter into a flywheel of motivation. You do something, maybe not that great, but then you have a bunch of people, because said person is attractive, saying, hey, that was great. You did super well. Or, a pretty girl does something stupid and they're like, you know what? That wasn't bad. That was pretty good. So you get all these breaks, and then the flywheel continues till eventually you're so confident with everything you do based on the continued motivation from everyone around you that you end up fulfilling that destiny as a remarkable individual. Now, when you're not attractive, you have to work twice as hard and you get half as much. Congratulations. So you can do something equally as good as the handsome man or pretty girl, but no one's going to notice, no one's going to care, because it's like, nah, who cares? Like, take a look at that guy, that Blake Tuffy or Nuffy, I don't know what his name, the bald guy, right? Who's in one of the seats. He's actually like one of the head talker guys now. Is that what they call them? Head talker guys? Like, no media company in the right mind would put that person, because he's unlikable due to the simple physiognomy of him. Like it or hate it, be offended or not, But no one's going to tune in to someone who looks like that after the breakdown. Now, let's just say, in his defense, let's say he had amazing information about something. People would listen to him if that was his lane. But now he's coming right behind Charlie Kirk. He's never going to amount to 1/1000th of the accomplishments of Charlie Kirk. Now, if he had self-awareness, he would just quicken. I'm ranting here, getting off into the weeds. This is about getting bamboozled by Candace Owens. What keeps me coming back to Candace Owens is that when I see unremarkable retard talking heads making fun of her, to me, that's a green flag for Candace and a red flag for them. They're always wrong. Just historically, they're always wrong. And a lot of these unremarkable retards are easily seduced by the pay-to-play game for YouTube. So have you ever wondered why there's these YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers and the host is, almost rubs you the wrong way, to the point where you're not even sure if you'd like him in person. And then you have some of these YouTubers that you kind of feel like you would be buddies with them in real life. They might not have as big a channel, but they're true to what they say, and usually that doesn't work in YouTube. You gotta, ride the sensorial wave, or you take the silver, like most of these unremarkable retards with the huge channels. Now, when they're saying that Candace Owens is crazy or how dare she? That's self-awareness of an unremarkable retard, because we all know in the real world, as human beings, if anyone in your family was executed, what would happen there would be a lifelong revenge redemption arc. It would never end. Everyone close to the person will go to their deathbed trying to find out what the hell happened. There would be no stone left unturned. So the fact that these people are like, what? That's it? Okay. Some tranny furry kid up on the grassy knoll, the 30-06, shot him right in the throat, but he ate enough carrots that his exoskeleton was like Superman? Oh, thank God. I was starting to think that maybe there was like a conspiracy behind the execution. But yeah, if that's what Kash Patel says, well, case closed. That doesn't happen in real life. And this is where I would be afraid if I was Turning Point USA, because what we see here with Candace Owens is, my unpopular opinion, what women do best. They can spend an immense amount of time on tiny, small details. We know this, as men, women will probably not forget these weird things that we've forgotten the second it comes out of their mouth, our mouth, or their mouth. And she will drill down on each one till every single thread is satisfied. So you have what makes women unbelievable mothers and caregivers and protectors of their children on the case. So it's almost like telling all the moms in the world, if something were to happen with their kids, just telling them one story and going, this is what happened to your kid, that's it. And the mom going, oh okay, right? It'll never happen. That's not the real world. So now you have this revenge redemption arc being taken by Candace Owens that's never going to end. I made a thumbnail that had Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, and Tucker Carlson, and it had Charlie Kirk in black and white. And in my mind, I was like, I'm probably going to use this thumbnail again and black and white everyone out eventually, because we know that in this world, when you speak out against men's power, well, they offer you silver to go away. And if you don't take the silver, which most of them, Candace always says she doesn't have a lot of money, but she is married to a wealthy man. So there's that. So it's like, she's never going to go She's never going to go bankrupt. You know, her channel, her LLC may go bankrupt, but she'll always be fine. Tucker Carlson, you know, deep family money. So they can't really take the silver. So the next thing they'll do is, you know, maybe take the lead. So I'm hoping I never have to use that thumbnail again, and this gets resolved. Now, what is on the side of Candace Owens, if we want to go down this road, me being bamboozled, is truth. So when you have the opposite side unwilling to have a open discourse about anything, to me, my conspiratorial mind, it's because they have compounded, dogpiled lies where they don't even know what they said about certain things. And they know that if you shine a light on their story, it'll probably fall apart. Meanwhile, you got Candace Owens, the mama gumshoe of the internet, saying, I'll talk anytime. I can't make it that day. Remember, she can't be in person. That's a huge red flag too, that they said, no, we need you to be in person. First of all, if I was Candace, I wouldn't go there in fear of my life, right? So imagine that. We'll even pay for all your airfare. We'll pay you. We'll set up your hotel. We'll take care of everything. I bet you they'll take care of everything. So, but we live in a day and age where a live stream is, you know, the definition of is it's streamed live to everyone. The fact that someone isn't in person is so inconsequential, because you see every single live stream on the internet, including Turning Point USA, using the link. You know, my live streams that I do with Drew, you know, I just send him a link, he clicks it, boop, there he is, real-time live. So we know that there's something dark and sinister coming from that side, because if there was nothing to hide, they would just say, yeah, we'll do a live stream, whatever. We want to get this out in the open because we want to get ahead of everything. We want to squash all this insanity and get on with Charlie Kirk's legacy. And until that happens, wow, what is that saying about a woman scorned? You do not want Candace Owens on your ass for the rest of your life. And if they don't change now and start coming clean, that's exactly what they're going to get.